Imagine walking home on a quiet Sunday morning, opening your front door and finding your mother, your brother, and his best friend brutally murdered on the living room floor. There were no signs of forced entry, no screams heard in the night, and the only surviving daughter just happened to stay next door that evening, almost like she knew what was coming. This is the Keddie Cabin Murders, a mystery so twisted that even after 40 years, no one truly knows what happened inside Cabin 28. In 1981, Glenna Sue Sharp, a 36-year-old single mother, moved her 5 children, John, Sheila, Tina, Rick, and Greg, to the crumbling resort community of Keddie, California. Their new home, Cabin 28, was old, drafty, and falling apart, but it was cheap and gave the family a sense of stability they desperately needed. Despite everything, the Sharps felt happier than they had in years. On April 11th, that evening began like any other. John was in the next town with his best friend Dana. Sheila and Tina stayed at a neighbor's cabin. Sue remained home with her youngest sons, Rick and Greg, along with their friend Justin, who was sleeping over. By 10 p.m., the cabin was peaceful. The children were drifting to sleep, and Sue rested on the couch waiting for her older boys to return. But that peace was only the calm before a nightmare. The next morning, at 8 a.m., Sheila returned home. She opened the door expecting her family, only to find her brother John dead in the living room, soaked in blood. Dana lay beside him, motionless. Her mother Sue was wrapped in a blanket, tied, gagged, and brutally murdered. Horrified, Sheila ran for help. While waiting for police, neighbors looked through a bedroom window and saw Rick, Greg, and Justin still asleep, untouched by the horror just feet away. They pulled the boys out through the window to spare them from seeing the bodies. But Tina, the 12-year-old, was missing. Whoever committed the murders had taken her. When officers finally entered the cabin, they made critical mistakes. They contaminated the scene, delayed photographing evidence, and didn't report Tina missing for hours. Still, it was clear that John had been beaten and had his throat slashed. Dana had been strangled and stabbed. Sue suffered deep stab wounds, including one through her neck so severe it hit bone. She had been gagged with her own underwear and tied with both tape and electrical cords. The attackers showed clear coordination, suggesting more than one person was involved. A bent steak knife, another knife, and a hammer were left behind, but there were no signs of forced entry. The phone line had been cut. The curtains were closed. Whoever entered the Sharp home came in quietly and confidently. Neighbors reported eerie details from that night. Muffled screams around 1:15 a.m., a dog barking frantically, a strange green van parked outside, and the Sharps' porch light switching on at 4 a.m. Even the neighborhood cats behaved anxiously. But the strangest clue came from Justin's father, Martin Smart, who told police without being asked that his claw hammer had gone missing. At that point, investigators had not released any information about a hammer being used in the murders. Justin's story became even more disturbing. After initially claiming he slept through the night, he later described, under hypnosis, waking up to loud noises and seeing 2 unknown men arguing with Sue. One man had dark hair and a mustache. The other was tall and blonde. Both wore mirrored sunglasses inside at night. Justin remembered John and Dana walking into the confrontation. Violence broke out, and then Tina stepped into the room. One of the men grabbed her and carried her out the back door. That was the last moment anyone saw her alive. 3 years later, in 1984, a human skull and jawbone were found over 100 miles away. An anonymous caller told police, "You found Tina Sharp." Tests confirmed it. Suspicion quickly focused on 2 men, Martin Smart and his roommate, Bo aka Bubaid. Martin had a violent temper and openly hated John. Sue had encouraged Martin's wife, Marilyn, to leave him because of his abuse. His missing hammer made him look even worse. Bo had a long criminal history and connections to the Chicago mob. According to Marilyn, he even made a pass at Sue the night of the murders. On that night, Martin and Bo invited Sue to a bar. She refused. Marilyn went to bed around 11 p.m., but the two men claimed they were going back out. Later, around 2 a.m., Marilyn found them burning something in the wood stove while talking about John. Both men suddenly left California after becoming suspects. Martin sent his wife a letter saying, "I've paid the price for your love with 4 lives." The sheriff leading the investigation was a close friend of Martin and allowed him and Beau to be questioned together, breaking basic interrogation protocols. In 2016, a hammer matching Martin's missing one was found in a nearby pond. In 2018, DNA from the crime scene matched an unnamed living suspect. But still, no arrests were made. More than 40 years later, the Keddie Cabin Murders remain unsolved. A mother, a son, and a family friend were brutally killed. A young girl was kidnapped and murdered. Evidence was ignored, suspects were protected, and justice was never served. Whether the killers were shielded by corrupt officials, connected to organized crime, or simply slipped through a disastrously mishandled investigation, the truth remains hidden. Until the day the killers are officially named, the case remains what it has always been: unofficially solved, but officially unanswered. Subscribe and click the bell icon so you won't miss out on more case studies like this.